this week at Zorin OS. I'd like to report, it's been a while, probably about a month since the last video. It's been busy, but I'll tell you something that's exciting is, before I go post the next video, I like to go check out my channel and see how it's doing. And over the last 30 days, my views have almost tripled. It's a significant number for me, especially I do this as more of a hobby, okay? A hobby, I've been using Linux now for like 7 years, and it gives people a chance to kind of come check out some of the other distributions that are out there without having to necessarily go through the process of install, test, and play. And one of the big things that we do is we look at a lot of the non-big distributions. We don't look at Ubuntu, we don't look at Fedora, we don't look at OpenSUSE. They already have a great reputation. They run fine, and a lot of other people are already looking at those. So we try, I try to only look at, what is a possible alternative that isn't huge. So let's first take a look at the app pick of the week. We're going to look at Bleachbit. Now, there's two ways you can run Bleachbit. You can either come in here and you can type in Bleachbit, and if you're on a Unity system, you can do the same. Anything with a search function, you do that, or you'll find it, I believe, somewhere under like a system tools. But the issue with running Bleachbit is it won't look through the entire system if you just click on it here. The best method would be to open up a terminal, type in a sudo bleachbit, type in a password, and it runs. You can come through and clean your whole system. I've already ran Bleachbit recently, so it wouldn't find anything. But you just you select what you want it to, and it will let you know which cleans are going to be very timely. And when it says timely, it's still less than 5 minutes for it to run if you go off after everything. But you pick what you want, you hit clean, good to go. One little bug of Bleachbit is that the system will report that Bleachbit is filling up space while doing this. But I've actually noticed the difference. I think it's just some bug that's causing a false report. Every time I've done a clean based on activity, it seems to be doing its job just fine. So we'll close out of Bleachbit. We'll close out the terminal. And you can get Bleachbit if it does support Windows by the look of it. You can come in here and get it here. Otherwise, it's available in your repositories. Moving on. Looking at Zorin OS 9. What has caught my interest about Zorin OS is they claim it to be the gateway to Linux. It provides a user interface that's familiar, and a lot of people I noticed who switched to Linux in the last, say 5-6 years ago, a lot of them said, I started on Zorin. I always thought it was odd. I started on Ubuntu. A lot of people I know started on Linux Mint, and a lot of them have stayed there. So it's very interesting, and it seems like that this person's business model is moving around the idea that you will temporarily use their system and then move on. The tour, main advantages: no risk of getting virus, super fast, lightweight resources, easy to use and familiar desktop. It goes on and on. Top-notch security. Now, Zorin is based on Ubuntu. And so essentially, it's unless they are doing additional security audits on the back end, it's only as secure as Ubuntu would be. And never tell a hacker you can't infect this system, because they'll find a way and they'll do it. As far as I know, there's about 48 known viruses for Linux, none of them actively in the wild. But it doesn't mean that if over time we don't continue to grow and gain market share, that this couldn't be a possibility. Or like I said, a bunch of Linux users keep saying we can't get viruses, and a hacker says, really? Currently I see their point, nothing really to worry about. Easy to use and familiar desktop. So, they're talking about the fact that, there's the Windows desktop. Out of the box software solutions, typical everyday scene software. Software galore, talks about, the massive Ubuntu repository. Compatibility, this is the part that kind of gets to me a little bit. They talk about line and play on Linux to run your Windows compatible software. I think Wine's a great utility. I've used it in the past. It does work. However, I've seen it where it doesn't work without without a little help on your end, is the user. So for someone new coming to Linux, they're used to, in the Windows world, you double click on something, it runs. If it doesn't run, you spend 2 minutes searching the web, get it done. Wine I have seen be quite horrendous to use, especially for using games, and even with Play on Linux as a backup, I've seen Play on Linux sit down and tell me Diablo 3 compatible. Got Diablo 3 running, but it wasn't just as simple as run through the Play on Linux software to get it going. There was some back-end stuff I had to get it going. Flexibility, I think here is probably talking about the dual boot process. The accessibility, of course, is really big on that. So the gallery, we can come down here with look changer. So you can, with the free version, you get the Windows 7 look, you get the XP look. You also get the GNOME 2 look. If you want all these plus the additionals, you have to buy the premium, which is going to include the Windows 2000 look, which I can't believe is part of the additionals because basically it looks like he's using LXDE, Unity, and then the Mac OS X look, which quite frankly, putting a dock at the bottom and putting the bar at the top, I don't think really justifies OS X look, as the top bar does very specific things in OS X, but that's neither here nor there. So for the premium version, you can get it for €9.99, which American would probably be like $11-12. And then what's kind of weird is you can get their business edition for actually less. I find it weird because, I mean, in typically most levels, business software is more expensive. But, whatever, he's found his niche, he probably understands how his model is working, and that goes good for him. So let's now hop over into the world of Zorin. Let's go over here. Let's see what it's going to do. Okay, so it's there. It's running really slow. Let's reboot it. I was in the middle of testing, and unfortunately, I can't tell which one's which. Let's open this up. Unfortunately, it crashed on me testing out one of the features. And I know you guys are probably like, oh, this is a good sign. Here, let's see if it'll let me type in terminal. Maybe. There we go. Terminal. Maybe if we just do a log out. Maybe that'll help. Usually a log out can fix a great deal of many things. If not, we'll have to pull all the way down, bring it back up. So what I was testing is one of the packages in Zorin it is just not coming up happy. One of the packages that you can set up or use it's a web browser utility. And the web browser utility, as awesome as it may or may not be, basically gives you the options of Firefox, Chrome. Well, I'd have to look. I think it's Firefox, Chromium, Opera, and Midori. Okay, all of which are going to come out of. There we go. The Ubuntu repository, which I'll get to the downsides of that. For what Zorin's trying to do here in a minute. But anyway, okay, so here we go. Everything's looking happy. There we go. It's coming up. There we go. Now it's happy. But for some reason it crashed the system. Could be because of virtualization, but I doubt it, because essentially all the application should be doing is running a script in the background of what package to grab. So anyway, here we are, Zorin desktop. Go here. This is their Windows 7 theme. So we can come in here and go like system tools. It has all of the general same stuff that any other Linux distribution has. Okay. One of the things that they have that is interesting, so we can go in here and we can go to the Zorin look changer. Okay. So we're already in Windows 7. We can fall back to Windows XP. We can click here, and it gives you what it considers to be an XP look and feel. I mean, I can see where it's similar, but I do see also differences as well. So we'll go back here. But so the whole concept is you would start off in Windows 7 or XP, because those are typically the big familiarity zones for most Windows users. And then once you get comfortable with the package names of everything, you then would progress over here to the GNOME 2 look. Honestly, at the end of the day, this is a very nice feel to GNOME 2. It's very modern. It has great effects. The theming is nice. Everything about it is really, really good. So I think it is a fair representation of what GNOME 2 is actually capable of. It comes with a great set of package software as well. I mean, I rarely see OpenShot Video Editor as a included piece. So it's very nice. You have the theme changer, so you go Zorin Light, Zorin Blue, Zorin Dark. And it's just a question of what do you want to use? What do you consider to be what's easy on your eyes? There's that, and then the other big one, if we go to Internet, Zorin Web Browser Manager, requires a password. We open it up, and there we go. So it has these web browsers to select from. Google Chrome. Now, to avoid a crash, I'm not going to do it again, but it'll almost be interesting to know if it's actually Chrome. I'd be willing to bet it's Chromium, and here's the reason why. I pulled down Opera, and I got Opera, and before it crashed, I was able to get Opera up and running, and I looked, and it was Opera 12, which means that this is not going out to the web to pull down the latest version, because I believe Opera recently released a new version for Linux, 20-something. The one available in the Ubuntu repositories is 12.4, I believe, which is what this one installed. So I don't really think it's going out to the web. Now, for Chrome's case, it might be, but I'm not brave enough to test it during a video stream without it, completely going down. It is what it is. I mean, the system is running pretty light from what I've seen. So resources well under 600 megabytes of memory. CPU usage is kind of high. However, in the defense of this, I don't know why it's showing 4 CPUs, because virtually it is only given 1. So not very accurate on the CPU side of things, but it's relatively responsive. Let's go to here. Videos, looks like it's using standard totem. That's neither here nor there. Let's go back to our nice Windows 7 theme, close it out. Click OK, click close. So anyway, this is how Zorin would typically ship by default, is with this theme. You're able to manage what you're going to do from here. So we could do it about this computer, this Intel Core processor, this times 8, doesn't really tell you anything. Default applications. It's Linux. So let's go over the thought here. So I get the point. Start with Windows 7, eventually move to GNOME 2, even though most modern distributions aren't running Mate anymore. Well, they are, but not their main release. Like Fedora, is there a Mate edition available? Yeah, not the main one. Ubuntu, is there Ubuntu Mate? Yeah, there is, but not the main one. Is there Mate for OpenSUSE? I believe so, but it's not the main one. Typically, they're all KDE and GNOME 3. And I mean, technically, KDE does have some resemblances to Windows. So essentially, if you can go from here, Windows 7, over, then you're good, right? I mean, definitely no problems at all. So that's kind of cool. I can dig that. Where I have the issue is most people who come to Linux are looking for an escape from Windows, but not horribly. I mean, Linux Mint with Cinnamon would probably do just fine. Ubuntu Mate, yet again, would do just fine. Someone who's going to struggle with the user interface that badly will never be able to transition off Zorin, which may be where some of their market share does come from. So, I mean, relatively impressive as it may be. Some of the issues I've had with Zorin has been stability, though. Can't run certain things without taking the whole system down. another thing, I haven't installed any of the updates because the updates do not work correctly at all. Now, that's not to say that it wouldn't on maybe on natural hardware, but it should be a lot more flawless than what it is right now. That's all I'm saying. It should do more flawless than this. So I think Zorin OS, the stability of it is kind of meh. I think for what it's trying to deliver is kind of meh. I mean, there's other Linux distributions, and let me show you something else. Okay, so let's go to the forum. Now they do offer premium support, and I'm going to look at premium support because I just can't. If Ubuntu can't deliver premium support, I'm not sure what these guys are going to do. So let's go to chat about Zorin OS. Now, in any other forum, this is where people get to come and talk about it, right? June 27, 2015, pretty new. May 6, 2015, February 13th, 2015, November 17th, 2014. And it seems like it's all from the same person. I'm just, from what I'm seeing here, okay, help and support. Let's see if this one's got a little bit more modernism to it. No, doesn't. And I believe, yep, help and support. And it's a lot of the same people. The community may have been active at one time, judging by the views, but judging by replies, you're not going to get that active community that you're hoping for. So the question comes down to, what am I going to give it? Well, being the fact that I think if I was going to put someone on Linux tomorrow, I'd put them on, and I knew that the desktop was going to be an issue with them, I'm going to put them on something like, seriously, like Linux Mint with the Cinnamon desktop. I want that user to still get the shock factor of Linux, so they do have to learn a little bit. But then at the same point in time, I want them to experience Linux. I don't want to put them on something that resembles Windows completely, because then they'll never move off of it. The other issue is the stability of it. I've ran tons of other things in virtualization with no problems. GNOME boxes, virtual boxes, doesn't matter. Zorin, like I said, will probably do better on natural hardware. But I've never had this many issues in terms of like hard crashes and then the system not being able to bring itself back up. And maybe, natural hardware Zorin does that, so the new Linux users can really feel like they're still back in Windows. It's just get used to the system crash. I couldn't tell you. So really, I'm going to give the system, I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10. I don't see a purpose to Zorin. A main reason for looking at it was initially it had a polished UI, had a polished web page, and a lot of people that I've heard that have switched Linux 5-6 years ago, this is where they started. Maybe 5-6 years ago, the Linux desktop wasn't quite as complex back then. And what I mean by that is there were less options. These days, there's so many Linux desktops I can't keep count, and so many different bases I can't keep count. But for the fact that I don't think that's the right desktop for a user to start on in coming into Linux, and the fact that the stability was just crap, 6 out of 10, hands down. So what are we going to be looking at in the next series of videos whenever I'm able to get those done? We're probably going to look at, I want to show you guys, I'm going to create a video, I see a ton of them labeled this, but an easy way to install Arch. And they're all these command line interfaces. I can tell you this, it's a utility that we're going to use. We're not going to use a command line interface. I mean, it will be operating in the terminal, but commands that we'll be physically typing in will be very minimal. And it's not Integros. Okay? But I'll also explain why you should actually try to install Arch the hard way before you try this utility. And then, talking about in the beginning the mass quantity of videos that we've had, or views that I've had over the last 30 days. One of it's no longer in the lead anymore, but one of the most successful videos I had was my Midori review video, which was one of my first videos. I was kind of surprised that the views have been so high on that one, despite the video quality being horrible. Well, the video quality I think was fine. It was the audio that was really bad. To help make up for that one, after the Arch install one, I want to do almost a comparison of the web browsers, battle of the web browsers, have you, but only of the open source ones. So we'll look at Firefox, Chromium, and Midori, and we'll show where their strong points are, where their weak points are, and then believe it or not, in my opinion, each one has its own place. And depending on what you want to do, they have their own purposes. And the app pick review, I already have one in mind for that week, or day, or month, whatever it is. A new browser that's on the block, you may have heard of it, and I'll tell it when that time comes. But it won't be getting reviewed because it's beta, so it wouldn't be fair. And secondly, it's proprietary, and I have nothing against proprietary, believe it or not. I do feel open source is superior, but I don't shun proprietary either because I've seen where it's done very well. However, it doesn't hit the criteria for the video review. So anyway, y'all, I appreciate all your views. Thank you for watching, and see you guys again soon.